servant whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. And if he shall come in the second watch, or come in the third watch.
So whether the Yahushua comes in the second watch or the third watch, you're supposed to be watching regardless, right? God. Because remember, they said, the Christians used to say, oh, he's coming back any day now, right? That's what I remember my aunts and grandmas used to say, he's coming back, but they didn't have any knowledge with that, right? And and I can sincerely say that being in the Christian church, they're watching, but they're not watching because they don't know what season they're in. They just know he's coming back, and that's what we've been taught. But we have the playbook, and the pastor wasn't able to tell how and or why and when the season was. And now we have that information. Maybe they did, but they didn't know how to articulate it. And today, that's why the Most High has a remnant of teachers, brothers who are on the highways and byways, brothers who've been in this truth 20, 30 plus years, who are teaching the correct doctrine. And we now can see clearly, for the most part, when that season is. And we know that we're in the season now, right? And brothers, was teaching this word 20, 30 years ago on the highways and byways before they had the internet, before they had, connectivity or had a real clear view, but they had the scriptures, right? This is the only book that gives the prophecies, not the Quran, the Kabbalah, or the Book of the Dead, or anything else that you can present. It does not go against this Bible, right? So the brothers were prophesying, and salute to the Akim, man. Salute to the elders and to the Akims in this truth who've paved that way. We always got to acknowledge the teachers and the brothers who really paved the way for everybody who's now, in the camps or YouTube evangelist or whatever the case is. So, a major salute to the Akim for that. Continue.
Or come in the third watch and find them so. Blessed are those servants. And this know that if the good man of the house had known how the thief would come.
And this is a parable, and this goes for all those. If you know what time that thief is coming, you're going to be on watch. But if you have no idea when the thief is coming, but it's coming, you're going to watch, period. Right? And that's the spirit we have to be girded up in, because Yahushua gave this parable of the thief, right? Read.
He would have watched and not have suffered his house to be broken through.
All right, drop that right there and jump to 54, brother.
Okay.
Verse 54 at the water.
Luke 54. What is that? 12:54.
Con.
And he said also to the people, when ye see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway ye say, there cometh a shower.
And just like you looked up today and you see, it was the sun was shining. And it's funny because I was reading this today and literally I looked out the window and I saw the storm that was coming in before the rain. We had that sunshine, and the parable is the same thing for today. As you look up and you can see the silver lining, you see the storms coming. Read.
And so it is.
No, start again from the top.
From the top. And he said also to the people.
And this is Yahushua speaking. Read.
When ye see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway ye say, there cometh a shower.
So you can see that when it's a nice, bright, sunny day, and you can see that cloud rolling in, the wind starts to pick up. You can see it. Read.
And so it is. And when ye see the south wind blow, ye say, there will be heat, and it cometh to pass.
And you can say in this parable, you can say for today, it'll be hot. In the summertime at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's 80 degrees already. It's just going to be hot today by the time that temperature rise, right? It's coming. It's coming. You feel it. You can see it. Read.
Ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, But how is it that ye do not discern this time?
So we should be able to discern the times, and that's why the Most High gave us these scriptures, right? To be able to discern the times that we're in. And we are in some important end times today moving forward in America. And we're going to go through some things, all right? We're going to go through the central banking systems. We're going to talk about the extreme weather. We're going to talk about the bank collapses. We're going to talk a little bit about the MOTB, or what we call the mark of the beast, right? We're going to talk about that. Starvation and extreme weather. God. So, brother, from there, go to 2 Ezra 5 and 8 for me. It's in your apocrypha. Yeah.
Second Ezra 5 and
8.
Got it. Reading from the book of 2 Ezra 5 and 8. There shall be a confusion also in many places.
And that confusion goes into the uproars of the people. It goes into the earthquakes, right? It goes into the protests. It goes into the mass confusion in Babylon today. Women wanting to be men, men wanting to be women, right? The alphabet community and all of that madness. And just the confusion of this place. God. And how Esau's letting it persist in his kingdom, right? Putting the sweet water with the bitter water. God. Putting light for darkness. Read.
And the fire shall be sent out again. And the wild beasts shall change their places. And menstruous woman shall bring forth monsters.
Right, and that goes into, the animals that are coming into the cities, and the attacks and everything, right? Because a lot of people are expanding out, they're moving in different places, right? And the menstruous women are bringing forth these monsters, and a lot of these kids out here today, that's part of it. They have no identity but destruction, right? And that's the only thing they understand. That's the only thing they can communicate is death and destruction, right? To our people and to themselves. Look at the young rappers, right? Here it is. You went and you lived in your neighborhood. You wanted to be rich, famous, and all of a sudden you become that. And then shortly after, the Most High pull you off this earth. And that's what's happening to a lot of these young rappers who have that evil intent and that evil gain and that evil spirit on them, to where they want the riches and the deceit and the hatred of this world, and the Most High take their life after they get it. Right. Exactly. Right? Because they're not going to do nothing good with it. They're only doing evil. So they get a taste of what they think is glory, and then you get taken out. Right? So therefore we must take inventory daily, right? And go ahead, read 9 Baba Kusha.
Okay. And salt water shall be found in the sweet.
Okay, and that salt water, that also goes into the light and the darkness, the law, statutes, and commandments, right? What's righteous and what's unrighteous. Read.
And all friends shall destroy another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber.
And when that confusion really gets stored up, there's only going to be a remnant that the Most High has that's sealed with this knowledge and know what's going on. They're going to have the light while everybody else is going crazy, right, in this place because the collapse is happening to them. And a lot of people don't think America's up for it. They think America is bulletproof and invincible, right? But what they don't know, what we're going to go over and show, is that the slow destruction, the Most High is slowly depleting America under our legs, like pulling the carpet from under us real slow. People are on it. They just go on with it. They don't feel it, but we can see it until it's really pulled, and then they begin to see that fall, right? And with that, hold that where you at, brother, and get me Isaiah 5 and 20, right? Because we're talking about and I'll read it again, verse 9. And salt water shall be found in the sweet, and Slakia, and salt water shall be found in the sweet, right? And all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into its secret chamber. So the Most High has a reservation for the people who are going to get this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right? Because if you ask the Christians or Muslims, or they want to pray for everybody and pray for everything, they're not out of prayers yet. While the Most High continues to destroy this place in different places in the world, right? So read that when you got it, brother. That's Isaiah
5:20.
The water.
Woe unto them that call evil good.
Destruction unto them that put that bitter for sweet. Read.
And good evil.
And good evil. Come on.
That put darkness for light.
That put darkness for light. And if you look at what's going on in this world, the television shows, you look at commercials, right? They got sodomites and commercials being free. They're not hiding it. They're declaring their sin as sodomy now, right? And that's on the governmental level, the societal level, the personal level. You look at these commercials, you're looking at TV, you're not even looking for it, and you see sodomites on TV. That's vexation, right? Yes. And give me with that, who were you at? Yeah. Go ahead, finish that, yeah, with the thought.
Okay. And light for darkness. That put bitter for sweet.
That put bitter for sweet.
Sweet for bitter.
And sweet for bitter. So you're not looking for the law, statutes, and commandments. There's no righteousness in this place. There's only a few people proclaiming this righteousness and this vexation. And get Isaiah 3:9, right? Isaiah 3:9.
Isaiah 3 and verse 9. The show of their countenance doeth witness against them.
So the Most High said the show of their countenance, right? That look, that spirit that America has on it, and for people as well. Read.
The show of their countenance doeth bear witness against them.
It bears witness against them, right? Read.
And they declare their sin as Sodom.
So when you see these commercials, you see the government putting in the alphabet agendas, right? And everybody's with it and for it at every level. See, America used to be conservative to a point, right? America used to have conservative values, but now they declare their sin as sodomy. If you want to be a man and a woman, at the same time, you can do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Out in the open, everything is free. And that's where the confusion is coming in, because there's a conservative class and base. And that's why America said, or Yahweh, that's why the Most High said that a divided house cannot stand. And we're seeing that more so ever in America than we've ever seen it before today. Confusion and division. That's America. They're trying to put presidents in jail. They're trying to send Trump to jail. The Republicans are trying to send Biden to jail, right? So all these lawsuits are coming up on the people in the highest parts of our government. These people were untouchable 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Now everybody's trying to put even them into jail or get them impeached. So there's division at the top of this country. And just like in Rome, it fell down when those divisions came. And that's exactly what's happening to America. So this is a beautiful time to be alive in this earth. This is the time to be in this earth and witness all these things, right? Go ahead. This is open forum.
And it shows us that this is how the Most High brought us down when we were ruling. Slowly but surely, he gradually just tore us down. He took our mighty men away. He took our wise men away, and wisdom left, and everything started falling down after that.
That's a beautiful point. And again, everybody, this is an open forum for discussion. If you have something, just throw it in there. That's a beautiful point. Yeah, that's beautiful, right? And this is the same way we fell, the same way they're falling. Nothing new under the sun. And they got to, in order for you as a nation to get that next, and Kwame Yasharala, they got to go through the same thing, right? And everything is going to get worse before it gets better. Right? And this is how we show our faith, and this is why we bring ourselves before the Most High, so we don't get caught in that destruction. That's right. Because America, they think America got another 200 years to go in their posterity. And we're going to talk about that when we get to central banking, the CBDC, the central banking digital currency, because they got it all set up, right? It's already set up and ready to roll out. And with that, let's get Isaiah 59 and 14.
59 and 14.
Yeah. Isaiah 59 and verse 14. Okay. And read that to 15.
Isaiah 59 and verse 14. And judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth afar off.
And judgment is turned away backward. There is no righteous, correct judgment in this place, especially not for you Israelites, you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. There's no justice for you here in this land, and you continue, right? You continue to suffer the curses, and we don't see it, right? Here in America, violence is so prevalent, the destruction of our people is so prevalent that we don't even care. It's just another day to us. It's just another thing to us. Now, if it was against any other nation, right, these people, I'm sure they would stand up in mighty numbers. If the destruction was happening to their people like it's happening to us, right, they would at least try to come together and give some kind of display or some kind of, revolt. But we just chalk it up, because we've been getting destroyed here for too long, for a very long time. And our punishment is a grievous one, right? But we deserve it, right? And just like you said, we had the fatness of the earth, but we lost it because we wanted to go against the Most High. And here we are today, trying to pick up the pieces.
He says a good time
right?
to live.
Khan, read.
Okay. For truth is fallen to the street, and equity cannot enter.
And there's no equity in this place because there's no truth. Because if we were living by the law, statutes, and commandments, if the government presented the law, statutes, and commandments, you wouldn't have these wars, right? You would have real and true justice for our people and for other people in this place, other heathens in this place as well. But there's no justice here in America for you, right? Go ahead.
15. Yea, truth faileth, and he that departed from evil maketh himself a prey. And the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment.
So the Most High is displeased that there's no judgment in this place, not under what he set out for us to be, and what he went. And especially, it starts with us, obviously, because we fell as a nation. So he's disappointed with us. He's disappointed in the heathen, disappointed in this setup. And now you got the heathens trying to be like the Most High with this CBDC that they're trying to roll out, so they can be omnipresent, omnipotent, overall control of the people. And that's what they want. Okay, that's the next phase, and the Bible says it, right? And the Bible says that that's the next phase that's coming down the pipeline, that new world order that people are talking about, right? And with that, let's get Psalms 82. Okay, and we're gonna bring out some videos as well here in a minute, and we're gonna listen to some things.
Psalms 82.
Yeah, Psalms 82, and you can take it from the top, Baba Kushan.
Okay. 82. Psalms 82 and 1. Yahweh standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judges among the gods. How long will ye judge unjustly?
So the Most High judges among the gods, right? And that goes into the idolatry that people are involved in. These other gods that they're worshiping. So the Most High is the ultimate judge. And there is no one with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah.
That's right.
Nobody. Those are the judges. Read.
And accept the person of the wicked, Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course.
Now, all the foundations of the earth are out of course, right?
And we can see that.
Everything is, and you can see it, right? You can ask the average person who may or may not be in the truth. They can see it. All the foundations of the earth are out of course, right? And we're going to get into that when we talk about what Esau calls Mother Nature, right? Go ahead.
6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
So we're all children of the Most High, but the Israelites were supposed to roll out the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Even the heathen are the children of the Most High, right? But the Israelites are the chosen stock, right? Of all the families of the earth. We were supposed to have this thing in order. All right, so with that being said, again, this is an open forum. I'm going to pull up an article from Fed now. Let's see if I have it up. Okay, regarding this Federal Reserve banking currency. All right. So this article, I went to the Federal Reserve. Let me share the screen. You can't see it in the audience, but I'll show the screen, and you can go back to this video if you want to see, some of the
documents.
Yeah, some of the documents here. Let me see if I can get it to go. Let's see if I can present. If I can share a screen. Okay, there we go. Reserve. All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, so I should be sharing a document, and this is from the Fed Now, or the Federal Reserve.gov. This is the government's website that I'm at, okay? And it says, and this is regarding the Federal Reserve announcing in July for the Fed Now services. So if you don't know, the Fed Now is going to be like a cash app, okay? They're going to release their own app, just like when they did the COVID situation. They had the COVID passport. You had to download the app and all that. You couldn't get into places. They're going to do the same thing for their Federal Reserve, for their Fed Now cash app, like a app. And what that app will allow you to do at first, you can pay your mortgage, you can pay your bills, you can get, maybe they'll have it at some point to where you can get your Social Security or disability or whatever, however you're getting it. You don't have to wait on a check, or whenever they release it, it's electronic now, right? Or your taxes, it'll be faster. They're going to speed the system up, right? Or if you need to pay a parking ticket, you can do it from your app, right? You can do it online, but if you have an app, everything is integrated. You can say, okay, I need to do this, boom, send the money, that's it. You don't have to go to a different site. Everything is going to be integrated. So imagine that. So with Fed Now, that application, all the government services, you're talking EBT, right? WIC, those programs for the food stamps, all that's going to be through this app. They're going to release it through there. The card, no sharing of cards. They're going to be able to track everything, because that's why they brought the EBT card. Because remember, the food stamps, those was like money. Right. Give me $100. Give me $200 in food stamps. I'll give you $100. Give me $100 in food stamps. I'll give you $50 so I can get more groceries. They eliminated that with the EBT, right? But you can still do with the EBT. But now with this Fed Now app, everything is going to be directly to your application. You're not going to be able to give or trade. Maybe you can, right? If somebody gives you paper money, but you're not going to have paper money at that point when they roll this out, or when it's at the culmination of when they erase the paper money. You're not going to be able to barter anymore, because they're going to erase that paper money. Wow. Right? So that's what they're trying to do.
People that have this stash of money in a shoebox under their bed, that's just gone.
That's going to be gone. Wow. At some point. I'm not saying now, but that's where they're going. All right. So let me read some of this. All right. So this is services will debut with financial institutions and the U.S. Treasury on board. This is out of Chicago. The Federal Reserve announced that the Fed Now service will start opening in July and provide details on preparations for launch. And I'll just read down. In addition to preparing early adopters for the July launch, the Federal Reserve continues to engage a range of financial institutions and service providers to complete the testing and certification program and implement the service through 2023 and beyond. Montgomery noted that availability of the services is just the beginning, and growing the network of participating financial institutions will be key to increasing the availability of instant payments for consumers and businesses across the country. All right. The Fed Now service will launch with a robust set of core clearing and settlement functionality and value-added features. More features and enhancements will be added in future releases to continue supporting safety, resiliency, and innovation in the industry as the Fed Now network expands in the coming years. Now, let me read this last part about this article. About the Fed Now service, the Federal Reserve banks are developing the Fed Now service to facilitate nationwide reach of instant payment services by financial institutions, regardless of size or geographic location, around the clock, every day for the year. Through financial institutions' participations in the Fed Now service, businesses and individuals will be able to send and receive instant payments at any time of day, and recipients will have full access to funds immediately, giving them great flexibility to manage their money and make time-sensitive payments. Access will be provided through the Federal Reserve Fed Line network, which serves more than 10,000 financial institutions directly or through their agents. For more information, visit FedNow Explorer. So this sounds great right now, right? This sounds all well and good, right? You're going to be able to receive, your payments fast. You're going to be able to get your check faster, get all these products and services faster. But what they're not telling you is the repercussions. What they're not saying is, and I'm going to play this video next, right? What they're not telling you is that, let's say you want to go on a vacation somewhere, right? You buy 2,000. This is just an example. You buy $1,500 worth of plane tickets. You want to go to the islands. You're going for 6-7 days, all inclusive. You want to lay out. You go to purchase those tickets online or through your agent or however you do that. But then the agent says, well, wait a minute. You're not able to buy these tickets. You have to go to, let's say, New York State violations and towing. You got to talk to them first before you buy this ticket. Well, why do I'm trying to buy the ticket? Why do I got to talk to them? Well, I don't know. So you go out and you call the New York Violations Bureau for tickets on that. Well, they say, okay, well, you see, you was trying to buy $2,000 worth of plane tickets, but you have $250 worth of parking tickets. So, or $1,000. So you can't buy these plane tickets until you settle this with us first. Everything is going to be integrated. All right. It's going to be integrated. So it's going to be integrated. So you think you're going to just let your violations pile up, or people who have thousands of dollars of parking tickets, they're going to say, no, you can't buy this plane ticket until you settle this out. Or they might just take the money if you have it. Right. So they're not going to allow people to be in delinquency. You're not going to be able to not pay things. They'll just take it off the top or take a percentage. They'll know what you're making. This is the ultimate goal of this beast system, for that control. All right. And that's going into it. And that's what this soft launch of this Federal Reserve banking currency is about now.
Wow.
Right. And again, it's called, and everybody can look this up. In the audience, you can look it up. If I can get some Wi-Fi, I can give you the full name of the article. But anyway, it's called the FedNow. It's called the FedNow Federal Reserve app. All right.
FedNow.
Yeah, FedNow. Let me see if I can get some. And I can't load the article here, but I'll leave it at that.
So that's going to be a problem.
That's going to be a huge problem.
The majority of Americans are in debt.
Yeah. Con, we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about that. All right.
Oh, wow.
All right. So let me go to the international CBDC clip. All right. And this is going to be from a site that I watch. It's called a show that's called redacted.com on YouTube. They give some good, redacted.com. If you go to YouTube, they give some good information. It's going to be RED ACTED, redacted.
AC.
Yeah, RED ACTED on YouTube.
Exactly.
And I'm going to play a little bit of what they're saying. They cover the news. They talk about a lot of the things that we talk about in terms of paper currency failing, right? The central banking digital currencies. So let's see what they have to say. You'll be able to see it, you'll be able to hear it, but not see it. So let me share my screen again. Here we go. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and play it. And this is going to be from the beginning.
All right. Well, let's talk about what's happening. Something big is happening right now to Western currencies. I don't know if you've been following the news. You probably haven't been, because no one's been covering this story. The Western media is ignoring this story about what's happening to Western currencies. No coverage in the Wall Street Journal. No coverage in the Financial Times. No coverage in Bloomberg. All of these publications purport to cover financial news. What could be, arguably one of the biggest stories in 100 years is getting radio silence. They're getting no coverage whatsoever. I don't understand. Maybe you can help me figure this out. Maybe you can help us understand why there's no coverage of this story in the mainstream media. Drop us a comment below. Oddly, this story is being suppressed everywhere. So this week, unbeknownst to almost no one, a shady group of globalist elites, people I didn't even know this group, to be honest with you, who run our monetary system, very quietly rolled out the new way that you will bank and pay for goods. Do you know these guys? We'll get to them in a second. Where you'll buy your meat, your eggs, buy your gas, your petrol. All of these things will now be functionally controlled by this group. This is how you will invest with this new digital currency infrastructure. The only reason we even know about this is thanks to a press release that they put out, issued by this shady group of people. And it happened last week right under our noses during spring break, I guess, when everyone was not really paying attention. So let's go through how crazy this is and what this will lead to. We've been warning about this for a long time on this channel, and you're starting to see a lot of the pieces come into place now. 2 weeks ago, we told you about how the Fed Now program is rolling out, right? That just began. That will wrap up in July, they say. So those pieces are starting to come into place there for central bank digital currency in the United States. We've already seen CBDCs being rolled out in other countries as well. But this is the umbrella CBDC that would go over all of them. So last week, the DCMA announced.
So the DCMA, right? So each country is going to have its own, like Fed Now. And they already have it, I think, in some parts of Europe. They already have it rolling out right now, right? But they're going to be testing in July, April and July for America. But there's this one that kind of sits over it, like the National Bank. There's one that sits over the entire conglomerate of these little Fed Now type of banking systems, right? And he's going to talk about it. Let me jump to 749 in this video, just so we can get straight to it.
It's fake. So, and it will work.
Back up.
Here it is. They're calling it a group of unelected globalists are behind this. Do we have names? No, we don't, because they're operating in the shadows. As journalist Michael Snyder says, quote, basically, it sounds like a secretive cabal of international banks and national governments is conspiring to push this new currency down our throats.
So the international banks in the group of these elite people, right, that include Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, head of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, all these people who are elitists making these decisions about how they want currency to be handled moving forward, right? And Klaus Schwab, if you know anything, or if you look up Klaus Schwab, he's notorious for saying that he loves what China's doing. And if you know about China, China's a communist, it's a communist state, right? And they all have what like a Fed Now type of an app, and they deal with the social currencies. And you walk into, like if you walk outside that door and you jaywalk, they know it's your face, they capture it, and you get demoted on your social currency. And that prohibits you from traveling, from spending money. You might get like YouTube get a strike or something like that, where they put you on timeout. So this is where it's moving to.
And this
right?
is what they say in that ad.
Mm-hmm.
They want to bring that face recognition technology here,
Right.
to start using that,
Right.
in the cities and throughout America.
Right. And we say the government, the Constitution will say that's intrusion of privacy today, but that's going to go out the window, right? So all that stuff's going out the window. All your privacy and all that, that's going out the window. The Constitution is going out the window, right? And let me just let them finish up here.
Yes, exactly. And here it is. Here it is. They're calling it the Universal Monetary Unit. And here it is. It's Unicoin. Unicoin. This is what it will look like. Well, it's not going to look like this because it's fake. It doesn't exist, right? It's not an actual physical currency. Like it's not actual gold or silver. It's fake. So, and it will work. Basically, it's been designed to work in tandem with the US dollar, in tandem with the euro, etc. But of course, it has ultimate power. It sits over top of this in this structure. And we'll learn more about how all of these things interconnect in time. But this is just the preliminary rollout of this. So imagine all of these little currencies will now report up to the mothership like a science fiction film. You know, here's the mothership and all of these little euros and dollars and whatever other currencies exist out there. Do any other ones exist anymore? They'll all kind of report up to that, you know. And that's how it will that's how it will work. The US and right now, this is exactly how the international CBDC will facilitate these transactions. We don't know yet. I mean, we don't exactly know how they're going to facilitate these transactions. Are they going to use a debit card, or will it be on your phone? Like, okay, I want to make a purchase. I want to transfer money. I want to buy a house. I want to enroll my kids in tennis lessons or college, or I don't know, buy a Netflix subscription, or what the hell else do people want to buy and enjoy their lives with, right? How is it going to work? We don't know. Will it be on your phone? Probably not. Will you have a plastic debit card? Probably not. No, remember Professor Richard Werner told us how this will work.
So, and this is going to be ultimately how it's going to work. And this is just me speaking as a person. I think it's going to start with the app. It's going to start with the app, just like you did in COVID, right? You had that. They did, remember that in the city? They did that COVID passport thing for a while. You couldn't go here. You couldn't go there unless you couldn't go to Barclay unless you had a clear report on you, or unless you had the jab.
Right.
And you had to show it on your card. I saw it. I saw people showing their card so they can get to the Barclay. Remember that? Yeah. So this is what it's going to lead up to. And this is where we're going to jump back into the scripture. And I'm going to let them tell you what they think. And this is a guy in England. He doesn't read the scripture. I'm sure he doesn't read the Bible. I'm sure he doesn't know what's coming, but I'm going to let him tell you what they think is going to be. He's going to pull up this clip, and he's going to give us what he thinks is going to ultimately be rolled out as, right?
And what this control will do to all of us. Watch.
This is the clip.
Your bank account could be frozen.
This is an ad.
Even if the government.
Right.
Also, they never talk about the name.
And here's what he says is going to ultimately roll out to be.
Nature of this CBDC. What is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that.
Right.
But
what he's saying is that central banking digital currency, he's saying right here, they never talk about what it's going to be, how it's going to roll out. Right. But we're thinking it's the Fed Now app because that's what they're pushing out now. Right. That's what they're saying is going to happen in July. Right. So let's listen to this guy.
I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. He saw it. He was invited to one of the old central banks in Europe that are very much promoting this. And
he's saying this is an old central bank that's promoting this, right? Read, or I'm slacking. Just play the video.
They showed him, and he's a top executive director of another central bank in Europe, and there's no reason to believe that he was telling me a story. And he was around this large, and would be implanted under your skin. So that is the plan,
right?
And of course, that has other implications on top of what we've mentioned, on top of the control aspects, because that actually enters your body, maybe violates human dignity, and can be then used for even in terms of functionality beyond the monetary and economic transaction purposes. So highly dangerous, and definitely something we have to oppose. And so using cash is one of the things we can do to make sure that the hurdle will be higher for the central planners to introduce the CBDC.
Now that's the great question, right? Because I'm a big advocate of cash. And so anytime I get a chance to go to the ATM, I do. And I take out the maximum amount that I can every time that I do. And then, store it in different spots and in safes and so forth, and make sure that it's secure. And I want to make sure that is I hope, my hope is, that's a great question for Catherine Austin Fitz and others is, well, what if they just say, we're not accepting that anymore at all? Like, it's no good. We don't recognize it anymore.
Yeah.
And your paper
didn't that happen
is
to
not print worth the money
to the silver
paper's printed on.
Yeah, what were those silver notes or whatever that
I'll stop the video right there. So you can see even them on this show, they're wrestling with what is this going to look like for us?
Right, exactly.
Right.
They know nothing.
They know nothing. And they're just basically let me go back.
It sounds like they missed the point, because this is, first of all, there's no money now.
Right.
So he stashed that monopoly money, and this thing take effect, that money's going to be useless.
Right. It's going to be useless.
So he doesn't have a clue either what's going on.
Right. And his position is, he's like, okay, well, and a lot of people are going to be, I'm going to take my money out the bank, so I'm going to spend it. We're going to do our own thing. They're like, okay, well, that cash is not going to be recognized. Right.
Exactly.
Because at that point in time, let's get Revelation 13. Let's let the Let's let the Bible speak. Because at that time, your paper money is going to be nothing. And like the video just said, this is an old CBDC or a monetary bank in Europe. They want this chip to roll out. That's what he said.
13 and what?
13 and 16.
16. Revelations 13 and 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bound, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
And that's the system that we're moving towards right now, is that overall beast system with all this technology, right? And transhumanism. That's what they're talking about. So there's an old international, or I forget what they call these monetary banks, the banks that sit over all these little banks, right? The overall large banks. They want to push this chip. They're interested because there are places in Europe right now, in Sweden, where they are using the chip to open doors. You can get snacks. Look it up. They're using it. Yeah, they're looking at it now.
And they were talking about this years ago.
Right, exactly.
Some guys had it. Said, look, I got the chip.
Right.
Right. You know, he sent those guys in first.
Right.
To get the message out little by little. And them guys, they have the chip. They say, yeah, I use the chip. Look, it works. There's no problem with it. You know, to get people kind of familiar to hear it.
Right, exactly. So it goes to show you this thing is gearing up.
This is real.
This is real. And this is the time it's getting real. Now, how fast are they going to roll that out? We don't know, but we know it's coming down the pipeline. And COVID was the so-called a test for a lot of this electronic stuff and see how people would take to it. Because you remember, a lot of people said, I'm not taking the jab. I'm not doing the farm. And then when it came down to it, they took it. Oh, you know, I took it, and so on and so forth. I had to, and those people who didn't take it, a lot of people didn't take it. A lot of people lost their pensions. They lost their job. They lost everything, right? They lost everything.
And they geared it up like that. So you really didn't have a choice.
Right. So they know that they can box us in. They're gonna box the people in. Take away these things from you. You're gonna give up something, right? But that's where our faith has to be strong at, right? And when we talk about that, that's also when you look up the World Economic Forum, you're talking about Agenda 2030, right? The World Economic Forum, they want all this stuff to be rolled out by 2030 or give or take. That's the date that they want this new world order to take effect, right? All this digital transhumanism, they want that by 2030. And that's under Klaus Schwab, the WEF. And in some of these videos, they let you know, and on Redacted, that's why I watch it. I recommend all you out there to subscribe to Redacted, is that when you look at the World Economic Forum, it's the most powerful people in the world that get together. They're not elected officials. They didn't run for anything. Some of them don't have degrees or whatever the case is. They're not officially or qualified to even be there outside of their power and their money to sit on this little board and make decisions for the world, right? And Bill Gates is a part of that. And who did we hear the most during the so-called COVID? Bill Gates. Bill Gates isn't a doctor. He doesn't have any degrees. So how is he able to come out and say what should happen about how to handle? He basically was calling the shots and saying different things on the next pandemic and all this kind of stuff. He's not a doctor.
You sure ain't. Yeah. And they said that.
Yeah, he's not a doctor. But now he had no qualifications to say anything about this or how to handle it. But all of a sudden, he had a lot of the spotlight and attention was on him about it. For what? Or wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Shut the country down. This is Bill Gates.
Wow.
He's not a doctor.
Yeah, and the spotlight was on him.
And the spotlight was on him, right? So look up Klaus Schwab, the WEF, right? And there's a video, and let me play this video. You won't be able to see it or hear it out there in the audience, but this is the video that it's called "You Will Own Nothing," right? This is part of their 2030. And this video was on the World Economic Forum site, but they took it down. Let me see if I can find it.
You will own nothing.
You will own nothing, basically,
Oh, man,
and be
they
happy.
really-
You will own nothing,
They get ready to
right?
cut throats.
Let me see if I can. Bear with me, Baba Kusha,
Because you know the saying is, own everything. I mean, what does it say? Have everything but own nothing.
Have everything but own nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's geared towards the rich. The rich.
Exactly. And then this system is being set up for the elite, because a lot of the elites,
right.
they don't use cash.
Right.
They don't use cash. Their money is tied up in billions of dollars of assets. They don't really they use cards and, do transactions, and they don't have, typically $100,000 in a briefcase. Here, let me go shopping.
Right.
They don't do that. They use everything's digital. So this is more so for them.
Right.
And we're going to get caught up in their system, because they're not the people who have to worry about being locked out, right, of a system that caters to them, right? But they don't know that's their ultimate destruction, is buying into the system.
Wow. Yeah, have everything but own nothing.
Yeah, let me see if I'm going to try to look for the video here.
That's their model.
Yeah. Let me go to YouTube really quickly.
They have it like you have a corporation and it's their company, but it's not in their name. So if you go after the company, you're going after an entity that's not them. That's the way they run things.
Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can find the bit. 8 predictions for the world in 2023.
You lease a car in a company name. So if anything happens,
studio, let me
it
go
falls
to-
on the company and not you, your person.
And
That's
bear
the
with
way
me,
they
Baba
run.
Kusha, Dung Studios. Let me go subscriptions.
Yeah, this is the elite. That's the elite's forte. That's them, man.
Exactly.
Have everything but own nothing.
And you notice now that, with the rising interest rates and everything, they want it to where people can't afford to buy anymore. Right? They want it to where you can only rent, that you're not going to own a car, and it goes into 15-minute cities. They want 15-minute cities where, they develop cities where everything you have and own is 15 minutes away from you, right? Within 15 minutes. You can't travel out in other places. They're talking about a lot of the pollution. They're talking about a lot of, the green stuff, how to save the earth. The planet is dying. So a lot of that agenda also is going into keeping people still, right? Making sure people can't leave and expand all this greenhouse gases that they're saying are destroying the planet. So they want to lock people in 15-minute cities. So you have to get privilege if you want to take a plane trip somewhere. Do you qualify? Have you paid enough? Do you have enough money to go travel now? Right? So they're trying to lock this thing down, right? And that's a part of it. And it's all happening at the same time, right? And I'm definitely I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't deal like that, but I do see what's in front of me, right? And what's actually happening, what their government is talking about. But this spiritual Egyptian government's talking about. This is what they want. Right. And we're just people getting caught in the calamity of it, right? So I'm going to play this video. It's going to be, and this is, I found the video. It's called By 2030, 8 Predictions for the World in 2030. And it's on Dung Studios. Let me go ahead and put this on the room here. I'll share the screen. I'll present. Okay, by 2030, you will own nothing and be happy. All right.
8 predictions for who?
8 predictions for the world in 2030. And if you go to the World Economic Forum site, they pulled this video down. They pulled it off of their site. Whoa. So it's just 1 minute and 39 seconds. I'll just read off. You can't hear it. It's not going to have any audio, just music, but I'll tell you what they're saying. So I'll go ahead and start it. 8 predictions for the world 2030. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. The guy's smiling. Whatever you want, you'll rent and it'll be delivered by drone. The U.S. won't be the world's leading superpower. We know that. A handful of countries will dominate. BRICS nations. You won't be waiting for an organ donor, right? We won't transplant organs. We'll print new ones instead. So this is what the World Economic Forum has on their mind. You'll eat much less meat, right? An occasional treat not a staple for the good of the environment and our health. They don't want you to eat meat anymore. They make growing meats in labs. 1 billion people will be displaced. I forgot. I couldn't catch that one. Right? The refugee situation. Polluters will have to pay to emit carbon dioxide. There will be a global price on carbon. This will help make fossil fuels. Okay. You could be preparing to go to Mars, so some of this is just some nonsense. Western values will have been tested to the breaking point. Oh, that's happening now, right? Mm-hmm. World Economic Forum. This is what they have on their mind, right? This is what they're trying to do.
World Economic Forum. Wow.
All right, so let's continue
So this
on.
is actually a dictatorship.
Yeah,
They've always been dictatorship, but now this is actually in our face.
Con.
Just letting it out.
Con.
We're taking over, and that's it.
Right. They're taking over, and this is for the elites. Let's hear Psalms 53. Moving back into the scripture here. Psalms 53. And this is what they have in mind.
Psalm 53.
Con.
And
53. Oh, from the top. From the top.
Okay.
Psalm 53 from the top. Oh,
Psalm 53 and 1. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God.
mm-hmm.
Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that doeth good.
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand, that did seek the Most High. Every one of them is gone back. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Have the workers of iniquity no knowledge?
Right. So these people have no knowledge. Our people don't have any knowledge. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we got to come back to who we are.
Yeah.
And that's why the Most High took us from the bottom, from our captivity, and we're building ourselves back up now. Read.
Who eat up my people as they eat bread, they have not called upon the Most High.
So with this World Economic Forum, these different things that people the elites want to roll out, right? They're beating the poor. They're grinding the faces of our people, of the poor, his people. Read.
Okay. There were they in great fear, where no fear was. For Yahweh had scattered the bones of him that encampeth against thee. Thou hast put them to shame, because Yahweh had despised them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion.
Out of where?
Out of Zion.
So our salvation is coming from the east. That's where our salvation is coming from. It's not coming from the president. It's not coming from we shall overcome. You're not going to march another 30 or 40 years here in America. You're not going to vote. Your salvation, look towards the east and pray. Read.
When Yahweh bringeth back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice.
And we shall rejoice.
And Israel shall be glad.
And we're going to be more exceedingly that real joy, right? We're going to get that real joy once we become free. Go ahead.
This is going to make us, it's going to make the people turn back to the Lord.
Con.
When they get a taste of this man's wickedness,
and
they can't move the way they do it, and they catching hell now.
Con.
When this comes, our people going to really catch hell.
Con.
They're going to be seeking the Lord.
That's true. And that's what it takes for Jake.
That's what it takes.
Jake, unfortunately, Jake has to go through some real pain. I'm talking about the Jakes outside the door who are across the street hanging out. Those brothers and sisters, when they get that real pain on them and they get real tight, they can't move around, they can't spin, then they're going to say, okay, what else is next for us here? Because it's going to be hell for Jake, right? It's going to be real hell. They're going to be looking. They're going to be trying to come through that door.
They sure are. They're going to be trying to tear that door out.
Trying to get in.
I see what what Mike was saying.
You know, he said Mike says it all the
Mike say it
time.
all the time. Yeah,
You know, they're gonna come flying through that door.
Flying through that door, man.
Right? But that's what it's gonna take. It's gonna take the elites to unfortunately, put the burden on the yoke of our people. Take that EBT away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, well, you don't want to do this, that, and the third, then let me freeze up your funds.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't buy and trade and sell anymore. Or you got to. That's what our people's going to wake up and snap out of whatever the hell they into and seek the Most High. It's going to be that bad, and that's what it's going to have to take. The Most High has to force us. And He corrects us in measure. That's why we have brothers and sisters who are here now observing the Sabbath. And all praises that we didn't get consumed out there. We came back to the Most High to the best of our ability. We're crying out. We understand our error, and we pray daily and we repent daily. Right, so we can get that salvation. Once you get a taste of this truth, there is no going back, right? Because you know what's coming.
Right.
You know what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So is it better to be in darkness or is it better to be in light at that point?
Better be in light.
It's better to be in light because a lot of these jakes are going to be devoured who are in darkness, and they're not even going to get an opportunity, right? So that's why the Most High is only giving this to a remnant of people. But everybody's gonna be woken up. They're gonna be woken up out of their slumber. Right? And you're going to get a taste of that pain.
That's why we got to get ready, man.
And that's why we got to get ready because it's right there. Right? And with that, let's go to Habakkuk 2:1.
Who?
Habakkuk.
Oh, Habakkuk?
Slaki, yeah, Habakkuk. I say Habakkuk.
Habakkuk.
Yeah, Habakkuk. All right, and we're just going over again. For people joining and jumping in the room, we're just going over current events, right? Which are leading up to the collapse and the fall of this so-called great nation called America. And it's all happening right under you daily, right? And want to get to it. Right after Nahum. And these aren't new scriptures that we're going over, right? But it's good to be in the know and and bring that light upon us.
Habakkuk what?
Habakkuk 2:1.
Habakkuk 2:1. Okay. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables.
And that's why the Most High gave the visions to the prophets, so they could literally write it and make it plain for us upon tables. And just like we saw with the World Economic Forum, right? Some of what other news outlets, unofficial news outlets, are saying about the Fed Now system, global currencies. Right. And the man who just said there's an old international bank in Europe, they were dealing with the chip. He said it straight up. He didn't say it like that, but he said they're looking for implants. Transhumanism. Wow. That's what they're looking for. He said that in the video we just played. Go ahead.
Okay. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
Right. And that's how we know that we're in the last days, because it's no longer tarrying. Right? And like I mentioned at the top of the class, brothers who were prophesying this word 20, 30, 40 years ago, they weren't in the digital format yet. It was analog.
Right.
It was analog. But you brothers was out there pushing it. Yeah. Like, hey, it's coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's prophecy.
Yeah. So when we see it now, we're like rejoicing.
And you living in that day.
Yeah, we're living in that day.
You living in that day. All praises. And it's right here. Con, read.
Right. 4, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith.
And that's why you have the brothers and sisters who have turned back to their nationality, right? The world's going one way, the scriptures and the remnants going another. That's why America's divided on every level you could think of, politically, geopolitically, right? Just in terms of, it's always been racially divided, right? But these are the deep divisions at the top of their mountain. At the top of this mountain, it's not good for a nation to be divided at the top, right? And Esau's divided more so now than he's ever been since 1776, right? Read.
Okay. And this is going to tell it all too by his faith.
Yep.
Our faith is really going to tell us. That's going to tell the whole story.
So how much faith do we really have then?
We're going to be tested.
We're going to be tested.
We're going to find out, man.
Con.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
That's the only thing that's going to get us through this.
Con.
Our faith.
Con.
5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. He that keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell.
Who enlarges his desire at hell, and he never keeps it at home. And I read an article, I think it was Dateline. I wish I would have brought that clip here too, where they're talking about the upcoming potential war with China and the military budget. And this admirable, he said that, and this goes right into this verse. Of course, we know that when they come into a country, right, for democracy reasons or for war reasons, they never leave. They leave a base.
Right.
Poland just became a part of NATO. They talking about putting 2 U.S. military bases there. So they're surrounding Russia, right? And Putin knows it.
Right.
Putin knows that. Look it up. They're talking about putting 2 U.S. military bases in Poland. And what America does, he said that we put bases up, we don't leave, but there's always like a third of U.S. military that's always roving. Right. Our military never stops like doing their patrol around the world. They never stop. He says a third always wherever is moving. Everything else is stationary, or if we call it, it can go. But wherever they're stocked at in base, but there's always a third. That's why there's always U.S. military boats that are on the water. Those big, large, what are those ships called? Those aircraft carriers. Yeah. Those things are he said there's a third of our military that never stops. It's always patrolling just in case we need to deploy them short term or whatever the case is. Then we send reinforcements. Right. That's how big the U.S. military complex is. Right. It never stops. But though everything else is stationary. Okay, go ahead.
And the money that they put into their
we're gonna get to that.
Their weaponry, it increased already.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. You're right. Okay. We're gonna get the actual figures. Yeah.
Okay. And is as death and cannot be satisfied.
And he's never satisfied. Right? That's why his military, like you said, his military budget is doubled, or not doubled, but it's increased since 2022. And we're going to get into that number because I wrote them down. Go ahead.
But gathereth unto him all nations.
Oh, what?
All nations. And heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that leadeth himself with thick clay.
And that thick clay, and that thick clay is death. Right? Let me read 6 again. Shall not all of these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and saying, woe to him that increaseth that which not is his? And that's what the so-called white man does. Everywhere he places his foot in his country, he puts up his military. He's always roving, right? He's always lurking, right? And he never leaves. And these are places that are not his, right? These lands aren't his. He occupies, right? That increaseth which that is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And that thick clay is debt. America's in so much debt that they keep raising our debt ceiling. And the debt ceiling is how much money or how much debt is America willing to be in, right? And that's why China pretty much owns this place, right? Through the debt.
That's right. 7.
Yeah, go ahead. You can read
You're
7.
right. 7. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them.
Right. And look at when America blew up Russia's oil pipeline, right? They tried to say it wasn't them, but it was them. And everybody knows it. Right? And then America didn't want Europe, like Germany, buying gas from Russia, right? And a lot of those places had to buy their gas from Russia.
Right.
But America said, no, don't buy it from them, buy it from us at a higher rate, right?
Yeah.
So this is how wicked this man is. Don't buy it from them. We're going to war. And it's all for money.
Right. Cool.
The military industrial complex finances from war. All these places, we have to bear the burden as taxpayers, as people on the bottom. We pay for these wars. The people get sent to die for them, but the so-called military industrial complex and the deep state, the Pentagon and all that, they survive off of it. They get rich off of it.
Cool.
And the people get devoured, right? Go ahead.
Okay, 8. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that covers an evil cover.
And that's an evil
covetousness.
Right? And that's what he does. That's the ultimate form of covetousness. Want your land, take everything, all the resources for himself.
Yes.
And leave the people who are there with nothing.
Yeah.
Leave them with little to nothing. And then they got to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that.
He's like a fungus. America's like a fungus. You know, they travel from this place, destroy it, and then move on to another place.
Exactly. And just like what we were talking about, when we talk about that laden clay, that heavy debt that America works on debt. He keeps us in debt, right? Keeps the people in debt, and America's in debt itself. Right? They're in debt. The debt ceiling was raised to 1.7 trillion spending bill. And you can Google that. $1.7 trillion is a debt ceiling. If you Google what's the debt ceiling, it's going to say $1.7 trillion.
Wow.
That's how much debt America's willing to carry. And it just keeps going up. And what are they doing? They're printing all this money.
And yeah, they're
still printing all this money that's not tied to anything.
Wow.
Imagine having your own printing press, and every time you go into debt, you just print more money. That causes things to the cost of everything to go up. Inflation.
Everything, yeah.
Right? And who pays for it? We do.
And China said that, enough.
Enough.
We're not using the American dollar anymore.
Right, exactly. Because what we're doing, we're just printing money.
Yeah.
Right? We just print money. And what I wanted to do, and what I want to segue that into is I'm going to go to the FDIC. Again, this is another government page that I'm going to share. Right? And we're going to see what banks have failed in 2023. All right. We're going to go straight to it. All right. This is all public information. So let me go ahead and present my screen again. And I'm going to share the bank failures. All right. So, and again, this is the FDIC. What is this? FDIC.gov is where I'm at. And they have a page that briefly shows you the bank failures in 2023, right? Now, this is another thing that I found interesting. And like you said, remember, America just prints money, right? But then what's happening, a lot of these banks and stuff are failing. So when I went to, look at this, I went to 2009, right? And it'll show you what banks failed in 2009. You just see all these in the news. No. But look at all these banks that failed in 2009, all right?
What are they in blue?
They're in blue, yeah.
Wow.
These are all the banks, and then it tells you who acquired the bank, right? And one that they did tell us about, where's it at? Where's it at? Maybe it's 2008. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Oh, maybe it's 2008. Let me go to 2008. because this is the one they did tell us about, the bank that did fail. There it is. So remember in 2008, Washington Mutual, when that crisis happened, when the economy collapsed in 2008, Washington Mutual, that was a bank that was prominent in America. I used to bank at Washington Mutual. And when that bank failed, it was bought by JP Morgan Chase. All the Washington Mutuals turned into Chase banks in 2008 to 2009. I used to bank with Washington Mutual. Right? Y'all remember Washington Mutual?
I remember.
Yeah. They got bought out by Chase during the collapse of 2008. But when we go to 2023, you go to the same chart and it'll show you what banks have failed so far. First Republic Bank, they just failed in May. Signature Bank failed in March. And also, remember they had Silicon Valley Bank?
Yeah.
They was talking about that one. That's on this list right here. It failed March.
That was just on the news.
Yeah, it was just on the news. Yeah, March 10th. They're right here. So this shows you all the banks that have failed. So banks, it's not uncommon for banks to fail. But when we see a collapse or the economy and inflation, once the economy collapses, you'll see the banks start to fail. And at that point, you have larger banks, they go in and they buy the debt. So what's happening is they want to make it to where all these smaller banks that failed, now they're going to roll out this big digital currency that only so many banks are dealing with. And that's how they're going to filter it down. Because there might be some banks that say, we're not dealing with that. We only deal in cash. We're going to keep cash. But they got to gobble up a lot of the smaller banks first. And that's why they're failing. When that bank fails, there may or may not be any transactions coming back to you. You might not be able to pull your money out, right? A lot of them, that's why the big banks, yeah, people like at the door. So it's called a bail-in and not a bailout. A bailout is when you guys hear about the bank or you show up, give me my money. Y'all failed, that's not my fault. Give me my $10,000, $15,000 out there. Give me my $5,000. Give me my $1 million. We don't have it. So the bigger banks come in and bail in. They pay the debts off for that bank, keep it afloat, absorb it, and they move on, basically, right? So and if you notice, when they say FDIC insured, your money is guaranteed up to $100,000. But people who had millions of dollars in the bank, I think they got their money back, right? Because the larger banks are buying up their debt or bought the bank up, bought their debt, and they're keeping that bank afloat. So people, otherwise you wouldn't get your money back. Just like the crash of with 29?
Right,
Stock market crash, people couldn't go to the bank and get their money. That was it.
Right.
That was
they
a
were
wrap.
saying, I think I heard that the FDIC wasn't going to be able to protect people's money anymore.
Right. So that might be the case. That could be the case also. Right?
Because they're already saying they're only going to allow a certain amount before they put you under the investigation and ask you where you got this extra money.
Right.
And stuff.
There you go.
And if you ain't got a good reason, you're not getting that money.
You're not getting the money back. Or you can't show a paper trail of where you got that money.
Exactly.
Maybe you did something on the side or they gave it to you so you wouldn't have to pay taxes on it.
Right.
And you just put that money in there.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's happening now. There's not gonna be, they got it to where you're not gonna be able to cut corners. And if they do find out that the money is illegal, you probably got to pay taxes on it. Or if they don't take it away from you.
Right.
Altogether. Right. So this is what's coming. We're not dealing with millions of dollars. But what happens when it's your a few $100s? So you're $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 they freed you out of for whatever reason. Right. Oh, well, you didn't pay this bill, so why are you buying groceries? Wait a minute, we gotta resort this out before you know what I mean? It's gonna be like that.
Street,
right.
And they're already doing this over there in Europe. People are not getting their money.
Right.
They go into these banks and they're not getting their money.
They're
They
not
try
getting
to do a run in.
Right.
And like you said, it's a bail in.
Right.
They try to do a run on their money, but it's a bail in.
Yeah, they try to bail out, but they can't get their money out.
They bail out. They can't do it.
Can't do it.
This been on the news too.
Yeah, come on. This is
happening today.
Current events. Yeah, current topics. That's why we're talking about it, right? But see, we have the knowledge and the Most High with us. And this is what we know is coming because this stuff don't belong to us. We're just in the system.
Right.
Until it stops or until they decide what they want to do. And that's coming very soon for us, right? And we know through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai who we have to be and what we have to have our mind faith and our faith set upon once this stuff comes down the pipeline. Because it's coming, right? We see it. And these are the days. We're not talking about 30 years from now anymore. It's here. You know what I mean? And another thing I wanted to talk about too is that the US dollar is not backed by anything. right? Nixon took us off the gold and silver standard in 1970, right? I think it was 70. Nixon took us, took us off the gold standard. So the American dollars is only backed by oil, right? We thought it was the military complex because remember, America, and we're going to talk about that military budget briefly. I'll probably go for like 10:30 here. I'll try to make my class shorter, but I want to talk about these things. Yeah, I'll try to shorten it down. But we're going to talk about that, right? We're going to talk about that, right? So U.S. dollars are backed by anything, and Nixon took us off the gold and silver standard. And that's why you have so many brothers and sisters now who are buying back their gold, right? Or buying gold, I should say. And a lot of the Vatican, they're buying back their gold. A lot of these countries are buying gold. Look into it. China, Russia, they're buying a lot of gold, buying back a lot of gold. Where the Pope is, the Vatican, they're recalling all their gold because the gold standard is where it's going. America is only dealing with the petrodollar, and all these nations are saying we're not dealing with your currency no more. So America's in trouble, right? Because of the BRICS agreement, right? The BRICS, which is the New World Order, it's the answer to the petrodollar. So Saudi Arabia said, we don't have a good relationship. We don't want to deal with America in their petrodollar anymore. They're looking at the digital yuan, which is China's currency. And that's why a lot of America's allies are turning their back on America. Germany, Japan, financially, they're dropping the petrodollar. So this dollar is losing value as we speak. Right? It is losing, the currency is losing its value. So what happens when it really takes hold and you have all this US dollars in the market, they're not buying them in oil anymore, right? Our currency is going to be nothing. The US dollar is not backed by silver or gold, and it's all going to implode in itself. The banks are going to keep failing. So it's going to be a slow, just ripple process until this place just crashes into itself, right? That's what's happening to the U.S. dollar right now.
Because they're saying that over there in China and Africa, that they're setting up systems over there and services that they say America can't compete with. They're saying that the quality of service that America is offering them is not better than what Japan is offering.
Right.
So they're really turning their backs on America. And like the scripture says, they're going to wind up hating this war.
Oh, we're going to get into that. There's time. And they're going to hate the whore.
It's happening already.
It's happening already.
They don't want to use American service because they said it's not good. It's BS. And they rather use the China one.
Right.
The Japanese one.
Exactly. Or the digital, the Chinese currency, which is the digital yuan. And Japan had a long-standing relationship with America, right? Because of what they did to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That got them right quick. But now, even from a currency standpoint, they got to do good business. So they turned their back on the dollar. Brazil, the BRICS nation, which is Brazil, Russia, India, they're forming their own alliance and they're turning their back on the dollar. Because remember, currency used to only be, America set this up to where oil could only be brought through with the US dollar, with Saudi Arabia. And there's a system called the SWIFT system. That's how you will buy, or that's how you will pay for it instantaneously. That's why these nations are turning. And then what does America do? If you're not playing ball, they put sanctions on you, right? So now you got sanctions. You do something that America don't like, the world police don't like. You do it for your people, they're gonna put sanctions on you. They're gonna hurt your economy, and they're doing it with the US dollar. So what do you say at some point? You say to hell with the US dollar at some point. We're gonna find alternatives. So when you come talking to us, we don't have to listen to you anymore. And that's why these nations are turning their back on America. That's why even their allies are starting to hate this whore. So now, if we're doing business, right, in another currency, and the US is saying something else, there's nothing they can do. You can't hurt us anymore. We got our own business we're doing. You can't tell us who to do business with, right? And America tries to tell these other countries who they can do business with. When it comes to Iran, when it comes to Saudi Arabia, places where America doesn't like the current government, or whatever the case is, they can't push their democracy. China, these nations are like, Brazil's like, you can't tell us in Turkey, you can't tell us to do business. You can't tell us we can't do business with China. You can't tell us that, or Russia. China and Russia still doing business. Turkey, Russia, and China are doing business. And America's telling them not to, but they're like, you can't tell us to do that. You can't tell us what to do.
They've been in that seat too long.
They've been in the power seat too long. So now you're going to see a blowback of the US dollar, and it's only going to affect us here. And that's when the so-called Americans, right, are going to go through hell. And you know, Jake can't be uncomfortable for too long.
You read about that?
Jake can't be uncomfortable for too
long. Wow. You know, it's good that we can see this.
Yeah, good.
And it's a blessing that the Most High has woke us up, because so we know which way to go. But the rest of our people that are out there waiting for Trump to make America great again, they're gonna get swept up in the wave that's getting ready to hit.
Exactly. And that's why we got to prepare ourselves, so when we see that wave come, we can be prepared, right? But the Most High talks about the remnant who's going to see that wave, and he's going to protect them. Let's go to Matthew 24. And like I said, I'll stretch the class out to about 10:30 and then close down wherever we're at.
Matthew
Shalom, Yarpa. Shalom. I see you, Yarpa.
Matthew's 24 and what?
24 and 3.
24 and 2?
24 and 3.
3. Matthew 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many.
And you see a lot of that today now. You see a lot of false prophets saying they the Messiah. They have the truth, right? Pastors.
Right.
Jesus told me to tell you to give me $10,000
for a jet.
For a jet.
Yeah.
There's an ATM machine right outside the door. That's how you bless us here. That's how you get a blessing, right? That kind of thing, right?
They got them in those churches.
Yeah, those mega churches. Yeah,
ATM.
Yeah, ATM machines, everything, right? And the pastors saying that they only can talk to God and all that kind of stuff, and you got to go through them and all that other madness, right? Meanwhile, the people are suffering and they still don't have the truth. They don't have the truth and the wisdom or knowledge, right? And a lot of them know it. At this point, a lot of them pastors know it.
Yeah.
But they can't stop their program. They can't stop the money. What are they going to do?
Right. And it's coming out a lot on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know that Michelangelo picture where they have supposed to be God and Adam
with touching the hand, touching the finger.
They got a $1 between them.
Oh man. Does Creflo Dollar have that in his church? Does Creflo Dollar have that hanging up? Right? That's crazy. See, that's man for you right there. God, his money is God. That's what he's telling you with that.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's what I got
Read
on the back. 5. I'll read it again. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
Yeah, so the wars and rumors of wars. We're seeing that now, right?
Right.
You got Ukraine on the scene. They've been going to war for a year and some change now. And it's estimated, we're going to get to the span on that, right? So you have the Ukrainian war, and also you got the war that just broke out in Sudan, right? The Sudan, they're going through a little civil war right now. And they were talking about it in the news, is that they're trying to figure out how to get a lot of those American people out of there, just like in Afghanistan, right? Remember in Afghanistan, they were trying to get the people out before the U.S. military pulled out? But they're trying to figure out how to get, they closed the consulate down in Sudan. So all the people who are American there, they just in the middle of a war zone. And they're probably going to be left there. But they're pressuring Biden to come up with a plan to extract those people like they did in Afghanistan. So that war is going on. And it's estimated that the current war in Ukraine has cost to date $75 billion. Wow. Right? Since the war begun. Big. Wow. Right? So the U.S. military, they tell you, you put in for your reparations, right? They don't have it. They don't have the money. You know, they give you an excuse, but they can give $75 billion to Ukraine, right? Well, remember, you were supposed to get your 40 acres and a mule. But see, the truth is they don't have enough. They don't have enough money to repay us for the service and the building of this country. They don't have enough. They couldn't print enough.
You're right about that.
And I'm glad that they're just brushing people off, where they just say, because a lot of us who believe in the government, they believe in voting in, they're talking about reparations. What are you going to do for our reparations? Because if you look at people who are getting reparations, they're getting money.
Yeah.
They're giving reparations.
They sure are.
The so-called Jewish state, they're continuing to give reparations, right? LGBT community, they're giving reparations. The Chinese community, they're getting reparations.
Yes.
Right? But they know they owe you too much. They know they owe you some money. And even some of this, the so-called senators or the people who are in those governments who deal with the government, they know that reparations is on the ballot, and it's something that they need to discuss. But the truth is, they don't have enough money. If they gave us our reparations, they have to basically just give us the government, give us all the money, and then serve us.
Right.
But who's going to do that willingly?
Right.
They're not going to do that. I wouldn't do, if I was he, I wouldn't do that. No, you're not getting it. Right? So therefore, you Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, the only salvation you're going to get is coming out of the east from Yahushua.
Yes.
Because he said, wait ye upon me. Right? And that's who we're waiting on, is our king. Because we're a nation in exile right now with no king. Right? That's why we're in derision. We need one clear order to come down to us.
That's
right? With no confusion or division, etc., etc. Right?
Exactly.
And that's going to come from Yahushua, because he said his salvation is our salvation is coming from the east. All right. So $75 billion to date since the war in Ukraine began. Sudan is locked in a civil war right now. People are trapped. And just what we were talking about. And I looked this up while I was jotting some of these notes down. In 2022, all right, in 2022, we spoke about it before. The U.S. military budget. It was the budget was, I think it was 800 and well, I wrote down what the new budget is going to be. No. Oh, I'm sorry. So the budget, the military budget for 2022 was $877 billion. No, last year.
Oh, last year, right.
Right? Because
that was like 9, I think.
Yeah, it's almost $900 billion. $900 billion to U.S. military, so they can have a third of it roaming around, so they can, all the bases that they have, fuel, stock it, you know what I mean? On top of fueling the war in Ukraine, because that war in Ukraine is really an American war. It's not a Ukrainian war.
Right.
It's a NATO war.
Right.
It's a NATO American war. And they boxing in Putin, and Putin's getting tired of it, right? And they just let Poland into NATO, so they keep boxing them in. And he's telling them, "Get off my border." That's just like if that's just like if Russia had a group and they were in Mexico pushing up on us. You're not going to have that,
right?
Exactly. So $877 billion. See, they don't have your reparations, but they got that's it. $877 billion. You know what we could do with that money? We probably destroy ourselves.
Yeah,
more than likely, if we would destroy ourselves, there'd be no Cadillacs at the Cadillac dealership. We don't own the jewelry shops. We don't own the jewelry shops.
Crazy, man.
Jake would destroy himself. But see, we can't be in this condition with that type of money.
Right.
We couldn't do it as a people. Most of us, I'll do my thing, we be too out there.
Right.
Get that money.
Yeah, we would. You're right.
We'd be too out. We destroy ourselves. Right. So it's better that we kept in a lower state, because we would destroy ourselves even further if we had reparations on this side. Being lawless, being unclean, not having the truth. Right. And that's why the Most High said in Revelations that we are still rich. Right. $877 billion. Wow. The U.S. military budget was.
That's reparation.
And you can Google this. Google it. Biden is requesting $866 billion. All right. And in addition. Yes, for the military. Because they know going into before 2030, they got a China problem. And China, they want to go in and get back their sovereign land of Taiwan. And the U.S. military is like, no, we're not trying to do that. You can't invade Taiwan. But they saying it's a part of our unified country. So there again, America's meddling.
Right.
America's meddling. And China's telling them, stop meddling. And now all of a sudden, they want $800 million in addition to the current budget. So this is a military budget. Because if you look at the rest of the world, the developed world, China, Russia, they have hypersonic military weapons. Hypersonic. We still have old 1960 nuclear bombs and warheads and all that, right? All these missile silos and all that.
Right.
So we have an old fleet of atomic weapons because we were the only one for a long time that had them.
They even showed, I don't mean to cut you off, but
No, go ahead.
they
Absolutely.
even
Go ahead.
showed that the Chinese have this train called a bullet or something. And it gets you to places in supernominal time.
Yeah.
And they say America still has these old locomotives and whatnot. So they
That's
say
true.
that they're behind in their technology. They're not supposed to be, but they are. They're behind that. A lot of these countries got them out smart with technology.
That's very true. And there's a rapper, his name is Mos Def. He said that exact thing. He said when he spends time in China, or not China, but in Japan. When he goes to Japan, he said they're at least 10, 15 years ahead of America because of, like you said, the technology, the bullet trains. America's infrastructure is crumbling. The bridges and tunnels are crumbling, right? So why not put all that budget back into the infrastructure? It doesn't make sense, and that's why the wise men in Edom are being destroyed.
Right.
So here it is, an island like Japan, they can get bullet trains. Oh, you don't want to fly? You don't like to fly? It's great. Take the bullet train. Which is would cost you probably same cost, but get you there maybe 30 minutes less than it would to fly. But you're still getting there in supersonic speed.
Exactly.
And you could put a bullet train down the middle of the country, and then have little trains branch out to get people where they want to go. But they won't do that. You can put a bullet train up the eastern seaboard, but they won't do that. Right? But they have $800 million for war.
See, that's what the Multi did with us. He got rid of our wise men. Then he got rid of our mighty men. We couldn't fight.
God.
You read that.
You see that? That's
in the history. You can read that.
God. The Most High gets rid of the wisdom, right? Gets rid of the wise man, and then now the mighty man are getting slaughtered down.
Strip you on down.
Strip you down.
That's what he did to us, man.
And that's how you break down a nation.
Yeah.
And rulership.
Yeah.
Khan. That's a great point.
I know what he's doing.
Khan. And it's happening slowly but surely. All right. We also have no missile defense, right? There is no supersonic missile defense here in America, right? So now they're saber rattling. They're talking about nuclear weapons. We see it in the news, wars and rumors of wars. That's where we're at today. And America has to up their budget because they know they got to go into a war with Russia and/or China and/or both. That's coming soon, right? Because obviously America doesn't like what's happening with China and Russia.
Right.
Superpowers ganging up in India. So what do you got to do? If you want to rule, you gotta step up and rule.
Right.
And these other nations are like, well, okay, go ahead and step up, and we're going to see who's going to rule.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is for rulership now. And they know this. The U.S. economy is getting ready to tank. And they won't admit that we're in a recession or going towards a recession, but we in one.
Right. They keep on throwing it out there.
Right.
And they know it's coming. Either it's here now, but they just keep on. They won't say definitely.
Right.
They're in a recession.
Right. Amazon letting go thousands or tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Salesforce, different companies, right? What is it? Bed Bath and Beyond is getting ready to close its doors.
Yeah.
So all America's, these big, great places, is getting smaller. It's getting smaller. Now it's going to be a few places you can go to. So what about the people who need these jobs? What are they going to do? What happens when everybody starts fighting for jobs? Or they can't get a job? What are they going to do?
There's going to be chaos.
It's going to be chaos. They're going to turn towards the streets. They're going to do what they know how to do.
They're going to turn towards the streets. Going to be mad at it.
They're going to turn towards the streets. All right? And with that, let's get Jeremiah 50. And I'm going to stop at 10:30 because I'll probably go to 11 o'clock, but I'm going to stop at 10:30. Yeah, Jeremiah 50, and let's go to 6. And again, this is just hot topics, current events, bank collapses, the MOTB, starvation, extreme weather, right?
This tomorrow.
Current events.
Jeremiah 50.
Yeah.
And what?
Jeremiah 50 and 6 to 13.
Yeah, 6. Jeremiah 50, verse 6. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
They have gone from mountain to hill.
Mm-hmm.
They have forgotten their resting place.
And our people are scattered across the world in these different leaderships, different rulerships, right? Lost, stripped down, no king, don't know who they are.
Yeah, man.
And that's how you remain in power, is to keep the people on the bottom. So what happens when those people wake up and realize that they're Israelites, that they're getting ready to rule this world next, right?
Wow.
That's where the power's at, right there. And we can't fathom that. We can't fathom that. We can talk about it, but when we see it, when the Most High cleans us up and really begin to build us up as a nation to lead, that's powerful. That's heaven right there.
So, you know, I see, like I always say, on the chart where you see the 12 tribes, you look at the people that's on there, you can see the power there. Okay,
it's there.
Imagine when they wake up. You know, imagine when that nation wakes up. That's like the sleeping giant. Right?
And when they on one accord.
Yeah, on one accord. That's a powerful nation.
That's a powerful nation. Go ahead.
7. All that found them have devoured them.
And you've been in every captivity, right? Everybody's had you, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in captivity. But we don't understand that. We don't know it, right?
And the adversary said, we offend not.
We don't offend. What are we doing? We're not doing nothing wrong. We're just trying to, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're not doing nothing wrong, y'all. Go ahead.
Because they have sinned against the Lord.
These people have sinned against their God.
The habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. Remove out of the midst of Babylon and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans and be as the goat before the flocks. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon in assembly of great nations.
Oh, what?
Assembly of great nations.
And they're going to hate this whore.
From the north country. And they shall set themselves in array against her.
And there's nothing new under the sun. Right? Ancient Babylon to this modern day spiritual Babylon, Egypt, and Sodom and Gomorrah. The nations are going to array themselves against this place. For the wickedness is done in this earth, and ultimately for the wickedness that has been done to you Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans for the past 400 years. Because again, your salvation is coming out of the east. It's not coming from Biden. It's not coming from Obama. It's not coming from a Million Man March. It's not coming from the Black Panther Party. It's not coming from Islam. It's not coming from Egyptology, right? It's coming from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and it's coming out of the east. That's the only thing you have, whether you like it or not.
That's right.
Go ahead.
From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain.
And those arrows are going to be hypersonic nuclear missiles. And their arrows should be what?
And the arrows shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. I mean, they're going to hit their mark.
They're going to hit their mark like a marksman.
And Chaldea shall be as a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord.
And the Chaldeans would be your modern day, your elites, right? Your so-called wise men, your elites. The people who can afford to get the $1 million bunkers and the missile silos when this thing really get kicked off and they really start talking about it and they start shooting these things at different places. Because once they start really talking nuclear and something gets nuclear, a lot of those people are gonna go down to their bunkers and try to ride it out. That's where they're going. Right? Go ahead.
11. Because ye were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of my heritage,
Mm-hmm.
because ye are grown fat as the heifer at grass.
And that's what they've done. They've grown fat. They waxing fat. They want to keep their posterity going. They want America to go another 300-400 years for their grandkids, their kids and their grandkids. Pass that wealth down, that inheritance, right? Go ahead.
And bellow as bulls. 12. Your mother shall be sore confounded.
England, their mother England.
She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert.
Go ahead.
13. Because of the wrath of the Lord.
Because of the wrath of the Most High.
It shall not be inhabited.
America is going to be a parking lot in the desert for the owls, for the birds, and for the foxes. Go ahead.
But it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues.
They said in Revelation 18, they're going to look afar off and, whoa, O great city of Babylon, how could this happen to you? How could this destruction happen?
All praises.
And the Lord's going to do that. And it's
praises.
ultimately for you Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, right? That's who it's for. And from there, go to Revelation 17 and 12. And I'm going to shut it down at 10:30. America's collapsing before your eyes, slowly but surely, right? And this is why we must gather up our spiritual treasure, that spiritual faith, so the Most High can remember us in those days. Because if you have those law, statutes, and commandments written in you, written in your flesh, in your mind, right? The Most High knows that. The angels know that.
Revelation 13 and verse 12.
17 to 12.
Oh, 17.
Come.
Revelation 17 and verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
And that's the NWO system, NATO, right? Go ahead. 13.
13. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings.
And that's what they're going to do at the end. They're going to try to take down Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right?
And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful.
The angels, the eyes.
And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest were where the horse sitteth are people and multitudes and nations and tongues.
And that's the NATO, the EU, America, all those conglomerates, the whore, and their conglomeration that they're a part of, and who they're in bed with. Right? Who the nations are in bed with, or who America's in bed with. EU, NATO, right? To keep their conglomerate going, keep their crime family going, right? And keep you Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans on the bottom, right? Well, that's all it is a conglomeration that's ran very well on the left-hand side.
That's right.
While you get nothing and you go to work and get grinded, right? You need a driver's license. You can't travel anywhere unless they say so. And for how long? So you're not free. You think, I'm free. I'm free. I'm good. You're not free. You pay taxes. You pay taxes for the land you own. You're not free. You never own anything.
Right.
I saw a video in Africa. They was talking about, I don't know if it was Ghana or someplace in Africa. They was laughing like Americans claim to have all this stuff, but they don't own anything. You never really outrightly own anything. You buy something in some parts of Africa, you own it. You don't have to go back and pay taxes on it, right? They don't deal with credit. You buy everything outrightly. Right. Everything is bought, right? So here you're not free. You never stop paying in America. You never really own anything. You never stop paying taxes. You never stop paying for the land you own.
Right.
And you pay for everything.
You're in debt.
You in debt in that heavy clay because America's in debt. Right? And they keep grinding people. And that's why these countries are raising the retirement age. In France, I think they raised the retirement age. These people are rioting. Right? These people are rioting now.
They're not going for that.
They're not going for that. You can't say we were retiring here. And of course, the people who the people who need to retire, they're not out on the streets. It's the young people.
Right.
They're like, y'all keep pushing that number up.
Yeah.
So you're not done. You're not retiring here in America. It's not built. America's not built for retirement.
And they want to push up the hours of work.
Yeah, they want you to work harder.
They
Yeah.
want 60 hours.
Yeah, they want you to work 60 plus hours. So what do you want? How are you free?
God.
Right? When they just grinding you to death. Right? And if it's not one thing, it's another one.
Right.
Nothing's free.
That's right.
Right? And I'm not saying it should be, but there's an extent to where you just gouging people at that point. Or you know you don't have to make a profit or raise things up so high for people, but they do it anyway.
Right.
Because this is America's a corporation. Right?
Right.
So you got billions of trillions of dollars for all these wars. Billions of dollars you're sending in Ukraine, and you mean to tell me you can't give the people a break? You can't keep that money in-house and lower the retirement age to 40, 50? Pump that money into retirement. Pump the billions of dollars that they have into retirement. Half the people will be retired today at 40 and 50, and you can pay them out full. That's how it should be.
During the COVID,
Mm-hmm. Con.
They were saying that people was leaving work, saying, "Look, I'm not going back to work."
Con.
And they saw how people were living. People started spending time with their family. They started thinking about, well, maybe I can open my own business.
Right.
Maybe I can do something different. Where before they were slaves to the job.
Right.
They didn't have time to think outside the box.
Right.
But when that stimulus came, it wasn't much, but it gave people a chance to reflect.
Right.
And that's why a lot of them ain't go back to work.
They
open their own business, work at home.
Yep. They call it the Great Resignation. That's what that's called. A lot of people, they made more money in COVID than not.
Yeah.
A lot of people thrived in COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
testified to that.
Yeah, people thrived in COVID. What pestilence? What problem? We're thriving over here. We're thriving over here.
Exactly.
A lot of people said that. And like you said, a lot of people sat down with themselves. Okay, so what's important here really now? Right. Is it being grinded or working off? And you didn't have time to think about that before COVID.
Sure did.
You just went to work, came, and just kept going. America was running. And now that little pestilence hit these people. Now you got to pull back. And they thought about what they want to do. And they didn't return. A lot of them didn't return to the workforce. That's why a lot of these people places are hiring. Right? And you got to pay these people. They don't want the crumbs that you're trying to give them. Right?
Yeah.
So America's collapsing on itself. Go ahead.
16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire.
Eat her flesh, take all the resources, and burn this whore with fire. That's America's judgment. All right? And America deserves every bit of it. Every bit of it for what they did to you since 1619 and 1492. And you out of your mind if you don't want that for America.
That's right.
Because America will have to go to war, and America will have to deal with the fire that the Most High has prescribed for it. And that's just the end of it. Music to my ears, man. Or they can grind you another 60, 70 years. You know what I mean?
It behooves us to get ready.
It behooves us to get ready.
Yeah.
All right. And from there, we're going to go to Revelation 15. Or no, you read 15 through 18? Oh, no, you read that. Okay.
That was 17.
Okay. Keep going.
Okay. 17. For Yahweh had put in their hearts to fulfill his will.
Whose will?
His will.
Yahweh's. This is the Most High's will. We're not up here talking about what we want to happen, right? We're talking about what's going to happen through Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai in the scriptures. That's where we're getting our information from, right? It's the Most High's will, and we want His will to come forward because it's a great deal. It's our salvation. The Most High's will is our salvation.
That's right.
And you should want that.
Right.
Go ahead.
And to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And the women which thou sawest,
And the woman which thou
and
sawest.
the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth.
And that's America.
God.
That's America. That's the great city. Go ahead. Go into 18.
Oh, 18?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Revelation 18:1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hole of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
And that's what America is today, right? And America's sin is growing as each day goes forward. There's all these different policies. It's unrighteousness. It's confusion, right? All its lasciviousness, right? All this uncleanliness that they're allowing to go on in this country. You can do and be anything you want to be. If you're a grown man and you feel like a 10-year-old girl, you can be that according to American standards, and go into the bathrooms and all the whole 9 yards. It's unrighteous and it's unclean.
Now this angel that came down, that's not Yahweh.
Let me see. I think, hold on.
It says that having great power, and the earth was lightened, with his glory. And he cried mightily as with a strong voice. And we know that.
Which is that? Which scripture?
That's the bottom of the bottom of 1 going into 2.
Okay.
Halfway into 2.
Glory in the cry mighty with the last one.
We know Yahweh likened the earth.
Right.
He brought the light to the earth, and he speaks like strong, like powerful water.
So, let me see, because I don't know if that's one of the angels that poured out one of the vials. Come on, my people.
Because I was going over this the other day, I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me read down.
But then it goes into come out of it.
Right. And that might be Yahushua because it's saying, come out of that city, my people. Or it could be an angel too.
Okay. All right.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the part where it says in 1, where it says that having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice. Okay.
Con. That's a good question. I'm gonna table that one. I'm gonna also ask as well, because I don't know if that's an angel. Yeah. I don't know if that's an angel. I don't know if that's Yahushua. It doesn't say, because we know that the angels are going to pour out the vials as well. What do you think, Samar?
Right. But this sounds like
Con. That's Yahushua?
Yeah, 18 chapter.
Yeah.
Mainly when you go to Revelation.
Okay, verse 1. Okay. So we're saying Yahushua. That makes sense though. I didn't want to say because I didn't know.
Right.
Okay, now that makes sense though too.
Con.
Right. Okay, continue.
Okay.
And we'll close it down in like 7 minutes.
And all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
Because who do all these nations want to be like, and who do they follow after?
America.
Right? No matter what condition, or if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. They're still going to follow America. And America is one of the most unclean and unsavory places in this earth. Right? The most unrighteous, the most violent. Right? And this is who they want to be like.
Right.
And the whole world is going to be corrupted. So it has to be stopped at some point. Right? Go ahead.
Okay. What else? And the merchants of the earth are waxing rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
In America, that's how you get rich, doing business with America. And all of its delicacies, right? All of us, see, America doesn't export anything but culture, right? Doesn't make anything anymore, but just exports all of its culture.
Right.
Entertainment, right? Culture, sports, music, right? Entertain you all day. Right? Drugs. Yeah. Drugs.
Yeah.
Right? All that. Go ahead.
Okay, 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people,
Come out of her. And
that ye be not partakers of her sins."
And that's come out of her mentally, right? Spiritually, if you can, physically. You can set it up like that. You know, and there's brothers who've left. They said, "The hell with America." You know, going to a better place where they can bear that burden a little bit better. You know, and that's what that scripture's saying. Go ahead.
And that ye receive none of her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High had remembered her iniquities.
Have remembered her iniquities, going back to 1492 and what 1619, right? And 17. What's that? When did America become a nation? 1771, or what was that? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, July 4th, 1771. 76, Slakia, right? Go ahead.
6. Reward her, even as she rewarded you.
So America has a reward coming, right? And you don't want this reward. Go ahead.
And double unto her double according to her works, in the cup which she had filled to her double.
So America is going to get a double shot of espresso, right? A double shot of iniquity, a double shot of destruction, right?
Right.
For all the destruction that's caused around the world and to the Most High's people. Right? Go ahead.
7. How much she had glorified herself.
Glorified. America glorifies itself no matter where she goes. Military cruise ships all over the world. Olympics, you know. America flag. People carry that American flag like it's worth something. Right? And they proud of it. You know, people are proud to be American wherever they go.
Yeah.
They make sure you know that they're American and you better speak English. That kind of thing. Right? America's proud. America's a proud nation. That's why they're going to be brought down.
Like Pharaoh.
Just like Pharaoh. That pride. Go ahead.
And live deliciously. And she does live deliciously.
America's delicious.
Wow.
America lives deliciously. Right?
So much torment and sorrow gave her, for she said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow.
So America, I sit a queen. No one can touch us in this world. I haven't lost anything. I haven't lost not one thing. I'm untouched.
Right.
Virgin. Haven't paid for anything. I'm not being pulled down. That's pride. Go ahead.
And shall see no sorrow.
I'm not going to see any sorrow. We're going another 400 years. I'll decide when we see sorrow, right? And that's the spirit of America.
Yeah.
That's the mountains, which is the government of America. And that's the people of America. Our people, right? Who are in these heathenistic customs, right? Right? Hellenicism right now. We got 2 more minutes, right? And that's what we say. That pride of America. And I just want to go into some of the hot topics today. We're getting ready to shut this down. We do have Sabbath class that's going to continue on at 12 o'clock tomorrow here at the House of David. But this is what we're talking about, the collapse and the signs of the times of where we're at here in America, right? We covered several different topics. This is an open forum, and we just wanted to touch on some of those things that you are living in those times. You are living in those days. So we exhort everybody out there to repent. We hope you're having a great Sabbath, and what a way to spend it than gathering with brothers and sisters and going over the scriptures, right? Because this is our salvation, and this is the time, right? The grace is running out, right? So who ought we to be in these days, in these last days, as we see these things come upon us? And it's moving fast. It's moving faster than people think. And it's going to just show up one day, and people aren't going to know what the hell is going on. They're going to be trying to figure it out. But they're going to see it, the wars, the rumors of wars, the currency. It's going to be a little gradual, and then it's going to get tight, right? And we're right there. We're finally at the door, right? We're in those birth pains, and this baby's coming. So without further ado, my name is AynWah, and this is my class. I say shalom to the brothers and sisters.
Shalom.
And I'm going to go ahead and end it on that note. Shalom.
Shalom. Beautiful
Beautiful
class. Tomorrow, man.
Good.
A lot of other beautiful class.